In Elkhart County, she created and helped launch several youth apprenticeships for the Horizon Education area alliance in manufacturing, business, and financial services. Additionally, Dr. Lisa's experience developing and delivering curriculum for adult students at Purdue, Indiana Wesleyan, and Bethel universities, as well as Ivy Tech Community College, that has further positioned her to craft apprenticeship meetings. Sorry. Programs, the highest learning standards, and the strongest technical challenges today's competitive business world demands, all while keeping the apprenticeships easy to navigate and achieve for all apprenticeships. Finally, her experience in HR as a senior training specialist and training consultant for 3 major manufacturers and other area businesses enable her to walk beside business leaders as they discover, explore, and ultimately launch successful apprenticeships. Next, we have Andrew Wiand. He is the executive director of enFocus. He holds a bachelor's degree in biological sciences from the University of Notre Dame and a master's degree from the Engineering, Science, Technology, and Entrepreneurship's master's program, or STEAM, also from the University of Notre Dame. Andrew co-founded enFocus in May of 2012 as a student working for a group of community and business leaders, and was hired as one of the first class of enFocus fellows in August 2012. Andrew went on to hold positions such as Senior Fellow Project Manager in 2013 and Director of Operations in 2014. In early 2015, Andrew was hired as Executive Director of enFocus, charged with guiding the organization's growth and business strategy. As Executive Director, Andrew has led the continued growth of the program across 3 Indiana communities and has managed the completion of over 250 business, technology, and entrepreneurial projects for over 90 regional organizations. Along the way, Andrew led the development and implementation of 2 significant Lilly Endowment gifts that have catalyzed and supported the growth of this model. enFocus projects have created over $75 million in business value for sponsoring entities and have attracted over 1,000 students and recent graduates to work for enFocus, with over 70% innovation fellows finding employment in the region after their fellowship. Andrew is also the proud father of 2 boys, Ethan and Nathan, with his partner Kristen. He also enjoys playing cello and not working much. His words, not mine. And last but not least, Izza Jatala is the Director of Apprenticeship with the Office of Career Coaching and Employer Connection at Ivy Tech Community College in South Bend and Elkhart. She has over 10 years of experience in the workforce training and education sector and currently manages the apprenticeship programs in partnership with area employers, as well as with building construction trades. So, welcome, panelists. Glad to have you here. So we're going to ask questions of the panelists, give them each an opportunity to answer. And if you're not eating, could you please put your mask back on? We sure appreciate that. All right. So this is this is how it's going to work. I'm going to ask the first question. Izza is going to have the first opportunity to speak, and we'll just work our way down the line. Okay. So our first question is, what type of apprenticeships, internships, and fellowships are available through your organization, and what might the difference be of each type? Is it?
Good morning. Good morning, everyone. I apologize that I cannot be there today, and I want to invite you to this event and for all of you for attending today's session. And I will do my best to try to get through all of the questions and have Diana prompt me through the chat to move along from question to question. So at Ivy Tech, we have partnerships with both building construction trades and also with companies around the area that engage in apprenticeship model. We're hoping to continue to expand apprenticeships into other sectors. As of right now, our top sector is in manufacturing. Other areas we're hoping to get into the supply chain sector. We are an RTI provider, which is related to construction for many organizations that have chosen us to provide education to their employees through an apprenticeship model. And we also help them develop curriculum to meet workforce needs. We can also help onboard their employees in addition to helping with recruitment through our students that may be attending fields related to areas that we wish to hire in. In addition, our students also are involved with various internships through co-ops and their programs and additional working opportunities, many of which go through our newly formed CCBC department, which is Career Coaching and Employer Connections. And our building trade program is longer term. The industry apprenticeships can be a bit more shorter term, and the working owner opportunities can be even more flexible and can be delivered even shorter than this program that we
Okay, thank you so much, Dr. Schroyer.
Good morning. Usually I don't need a microphone because I speak loudly, so if I start screaming, I want to thank everyone for having me this morning. We have an internship. It's for high school seniors that they come into the hospital and follow healthcare workers in many departments, mostly inpatient, bedside nursing. However, we do have specialty units that they can go to, physical therapy, occupational therapy. They also get to go into perioperative areas, which would be our post-anesthesia care unit, our outpatient surgery unit, and they get to observe a surgery as well. So students come in, they go through an application cycle, and they are selected to come in, and they go to each area for 2 days over the course of the
Thank you. Thanks for having us here this morning. So I'm Lisa Greco, and I'm kind of representing two groups here today. I have a foot in one camp, the LIFT organization, and I put a little flyer on your desk. LIFT is part of the South Bend Economic Regional Partnership, and they specialize in the very high-tech Industry 4.0 types of apprenticeships, and those are listed on the flip side of the wake up this morning. Sorry. My role with LIFT is helping employers to develop these high-tech apprenticeships, so that includes all phases of design, identifying the correct RTA, as you heard Izza mention, the related training instruction. So we have a strong relationship with Ivy Tech, with Purdue Polytechnic. We're also building in soft skills now through Libert's Leadership Academy and other employer and providers of training that would match up to these high-tech fields. So right now we have currently registered with DOL is software developer, so if any of you are in here for software developer apprenticeship opportunity. And robotics technician, so that one's also open. The beauty of the LIFT network is all the funding that comes along with it. So I believe it's up to 3 first round apprentices can go through, and that's funded by LIFT. So that's really good. And then all the support that you get through that in my other role with WorkOne. WorkOne is the intermediary in Region 2 for Department of Labor registered apprenticeships. Now that's not like putting aside what Izza and her team does. We're partners in that. So wherever the apprenticeship best fits, we're there. But if you have come to WorkOne or LIFT to help for help in developing that, then we can serve as your intermediary. And what that means is that we can do all the heavy lifting for you. It takes a lot of work to put those together, onboard your team, launch and monitor it, and we can do that. So in addition to the high tech ones that you see here for LIFT, WorkOne has other apprenticeships that maybe don't quite fall in that high tech field, but they're certainly very valuable, like certified production technicians or childcare. We're working on childcare development assistance because there's a huge shortage of childcare. And then one that Darcy and I are working on together, back here with Darcy, Bend-Elkhart Career Center. We're getting ready to, we're very excited about this one, industrial sewers, because who knew? Industrial sewers, the demand is overtakes welders in Elkhart County. Who knew that? So we have some major employers coming together in a very big way. I mean, to the point of contributing to develop a specialized training lab and everything else. So we're very excited about that. So if it doesn't fall under like super high tech LIFT, then you can come see us for the other ones. Thank you.
I'm not a huge microphone thing. Can everybody hear me okay? Levon in the back? Okay, good. Thank you so much for having me this morning. Privileged to be on a panel to talk with you all. Perhaps the best way to talk about our experiential learning programs is to describe what enFocus is and how it works, and then I'll break down a little bit of our programs. And so, if you haven't heard, for some of you out here, some of my some new faces, enFocus is short for entrepreneurial focus. And who we are a nonprofit organization that was started in 2012 to serve this region's businesses. Our mission is to empower talent to build a better community. So how we do that is through 3 key activities. We have a fellowship and internship program that is reasonably unique insofar as that we, for our second activity, don't necessarily place fellows or interns within host companies, but work on project-based services for each fellow to provide professional service around data analysis, technology completion, and project management for regional businesses. The third thing that we do, which brings the entrepreneurship into entrepreneurial focus, is give a percentage of time to each one of our staff innovation fellows to work on their own founder idea, to be placed with an entrepreneurial promising startup within the region, or to react or create a social program to look at a cause or issue in our communities. The reason for these 3 key activities is that Indiana overall and our region struggles to retain our region's college graduates as they go off and do different things across the world. What if we could keep them all here to grow and lead our businesses and to continue to inspire all of our students to want to be here to really grow the economy? And so the unique fellowship model that we have follows what we call a 70-30 time split. 70% of our fellows' time is for the professional services offered really for projects for regional businesses. We split those projects. We have a civic portfolio. We serve city governments, county governments, healthcare, nonprofits through our services. And we have an industrial services fellow program that focuses really around the more advanced techniques and implementing technology in the spirit of really moving towards more advanced manufacturing in the region. And so to break down the distinction between kind of the fellowship and internship a little bit more, our full-time paid employees really around a 2-year fellowship contract that they sign with us, and we call those innovation fellowships. We recruit from regional national colleges. We have probably had fellows from all the region's colleges, and we've recruited from as far away as, let's see, the University of Trinity College Dublin, perhaps, but as close to home as Notre Dame Goshen College, Holy Cross Wayne County. And so our internship program really is unique insofar as that it supports the projects that the fellows lead to build a talent feeder system here in the region to try to get our folks in our colleges and high schools dreaming about the things they can do to grow this region and to solve problems here. As we have then a fall, spring, and summer internship model. Fall and spring are recruited to support projects based on those needs. Probably 8 to 10 hours a week, depending on the student workflow. We really kind of tailor that to what's possible in the project. Summer is a full-time immersive experience, 8 to 12 weeks, where we bring the staff on and assign them to help with fellow projects, work with clients or sponsors in the community, and hopefully have a great experience. And so all in all, I think we can measure success through really a change in the perception of the region. There are cool things getting done here. And if people want to live, work, and play here, just imagine the things that we can do. So we really value experience. We value, obviously, the delivery of service to the business, to the fellowship program. And if we start some businesses along the way, that's pretty cool too. So thanks for having me, and I can share more as we get further.
Yeah, excellent. Good answers, you guys. Next, we want to have you explain the application process and what kind of candidates you're looking for. So, Izza? We're having some technical difficulties, so please bear with us. She had to hang up and redial. I don't know if you noticed, but they did not ask me for any help. That was not be good.
So our application process is done in a couple of ways. Typically, a traditional registered apprentice is considered to be a full-time employee. So that would start at that organization that has that model. So they would need to go through their vetting process to be hired on, depending on what point they are in establishing an apprenticeship. If the apprenticeship program is already registered and then they're at the point where they can hire somebody into that role, they'll do their onboarding and then they can contact to be onboarded as a student. However, that company is interested in recruiting through our student pool who may be attending programs within that field. They'll work with our CCEC team and our academic team to help source out a candidate, and then we would then vet them on our side to then send for interview and placement. We're typically looking for candidates that have a good foundational knowledge in math, English, soft skills, life skills, and just a real determination to be a lifelong learner and be adaptable to environments. And really the one that I hear more than anything is just to be able to show up on time and be willing to learn. Thank you.
Good point. Thank you, Izza. Dr. Schroyer.
Schroyer. Like a Schroyer for the class. So the application process for these high school seniors starts at their school and their counselor and their process. And for us, they fill out all kinds of forms, of course, to make sure that they are capable of coming into the hospital and being on time. And if their parents have to consent also as well. And we are always looking for candidates that have great communication skills, they're self-motivated, and they're very conscientious about their appearance, where they are working, and what they need to get out of the process for themselves.
On our side, as Izza said, when you're an apprentice, you are a full-time employee of that company. And what we're doing is we're kind of starting at the employer end first, getting the employer's apprenticeship program up, ready to go. And the key people within the company that are going to help sustain that apprenticeship over time. The employers then will typically pick an existing, group of existing employees that they want to put through this program for skill up reasons or, some kind of expansion reasons. And then they will look outwardly in their usual recruiting process. So whether that's coming to interview Ivy Tech graduates that may be interested in that particular field, or Purdue Polytechnic graduates, or just doing an open call out to the general public. So that process is through the employer themselves. They will vet them and make sure that they're appropriate. So what we're looking for is employers who are interested in working with us to develop these programs. So just a little different slant, but the end result is the same.
Very similar to Lisa, our process is a little bit more multi-sided. I'll speak to the application process for the fellows and interns, but also speak to the matching process or the almost business development or project identification process with the employer's organization. And so in order for us to recruit our fellows and interns, we visit the career fairs and we have all of the online digital channels to try and reach the students and build awareness. So we have a talent coordinator and a director of programs that organize every year, kind of roadshow, which colleges, which shows, which faculty, how do we get our word? From there, the application, it follows a series of rounds. There's a round in the fall and a round in the spring, both for fellowships and internships. The internship recruitment process is a little bit lighter as we recruit more of those. There's a behavioral interview screen. Are you interviewing for the right company? Are you interested in really what we have to offer? That then leads to a case study interview that looks at analytical and really kind of how do you solve a problem? Essentially, we give you a kind of a messy case study. It's got typos in it, a little bit how you might see a business problem come up in a real setting. And so we'd like you to present back your solutions and your logic, and we'll answer some questions. Following that, we're really interested, both fellows and interns, very similar process, but there's an additional screen for the fellows. We're really interested in three things across our candidates: your analytical problem-solving skills and your ability to learn. They're demonstrating that you have had internships or that you have gone through a little bit more complex planning and project management process through your college or maybe graduate level studies. Second is passions and interests. I think we can all know that nobody wants to stay or work in this region. Why would you want to come work in this region to help this region? So we really want to kind of get the preferential piece there, and also culture fit. So I think it's really important that people can work in ambiguity. You can have a really, really strong person who's toxic, and that's not as good as somebody we can develop. We thought in that can build relationships. As fundamental skills, interpersonal skills, communication, leadership, we kind of track through how comfortable with you with presenting information. How might you be when a client grills you in a public setting, maybe something like this. And so through the kind of pitching the case study back and us getting to answer questions, we can see how somebody thinks on their feet. Analytical skills, culture fit, and passions and interests are really important. In terms of the folks that we're looking for, really interesting. As we might serve a community health organization, we want somebody who's passionate or has background in life science. But overall, we are looking for different buckets of skills each year, mostly industrial engineers for the industry side, and a variety of arts and STEM talent for our civic side. But most importantly, in terms of grade levels, we're open to all. So we've had a bachelor's in Spanish, lead a strategic plan for the school system. We've had a PhD in infectious disease, lead an opioid use planning program, and for a consortium in a county. So pretty open. We want to have a multidisciplinary model where people get to work together and solve problems.
Excellent, thank you so much. Our next question is, what are the top 3 things that you hope the students or employers take away from your program? And with Izza.
Thank you, Art. I believe we are on question the top 3 things we hope students or employers take away from our program. So we hope that employers see the value of investing in employees and how it can lead to an overall healthy organization. And the fact that the apprenticeship model can help retain talent, reduce turnover rate, and create a consistent pipeline for employee growth, and also to ensure that there isn't going to be a skill gap from an expert in a certain work process area that will be retiring, that expert will get a chance to hopefully mentor and onboard the next generation that will take that next spot and that lead in that vital work process role. On the student end, we hope that students see the value of becoming credentialed and skilled in a craft area and take ownership of that field and have the ability to gain both that real work experience while they're learning in a true earn while you learn model where they are already getting income benefits and have that security net while also having that organization sponsor their actual education at the same time really makes a world of difference in their success in their education.
The 3 things that we really want the students to take away is that healthcare or nursing in general, if they're really looking at nursing, is a wide field. There are so many things that can be done. There are so many areas that can be explored. And that's what we want to show the students and want them to take away. The other thing is teamwork, that it takes a team to take care of these patients from the time they walk in the door and get screened to admission to discharge. It takes a team. There is not just one person. It's not just the physician or just the nurse. It's a team of people. And the third thing I want them to take away, or we want them to take away, is camaraderie. That within that teamwork frame, you also build relationships with your coworkers. And to build those coworkers, you do have to have the teamwork. So those are the 3 things that we want them to take from the program.
From the employer side, the 3 things I would hope they would take away is, first of all, a sense of security. And what I mean by that is knowing that when you have a DOL registered apprenticeship, it's kind of like that good housekeeping seal. And you know that it is the gold standard, and you are running the gold standard training at your company. The other thing is to know that you are partnering with experts who know how to do this, how to write it. We are going to free up your staff time. It takes on average a minimum of 320 hours just to get the final draft stage for the DOL to present that. So we're going to take that heavy load. So we're going to lift that for you. So have that sense of security that we have your company's best interest at heart when we're writing this, and that what you're going to come out with is something that, as my musician friends would say, is pitch perfect. The second thing is knowing that your bottom line is going to increase. It's a proven fact that when you use DOL registered apprenticeships, it is an enhancement to your bottom line. Employees, as I said on this flyer, 94% of apprentices who go into these programs continue with their employer. And you all know what the cost is to turn over an employee, reskill that employee, and get them up to speed. When you have one that's invested in you because you've invested in them, you have a long-term win. And then, of course, you know, the various fundings and grants that come along with, especially in this day and age. Take advantage of it now, or you're leaving money on the table. That's the second one. So increasing the bottom line. And the third is knowing that you as a company have stepped into a true leadership role in your community. By developing an apprenticeship, you are improving the work standard that goes out from this community. And you have advanced your industry by participating in this. So those are the 3 things I would hope they're, you know, except for the bottom line, one of the others are kind of intangible. But you all know what they are here in business, you know the value of those. Thank you.
So I'll answer from the development of the fellows and interns perspective on this question. I think we'll talk a little bit later about some of the project value to sponsors. Largely parroting what has already been shared, maybe framed in a little different way. I'd say there's kind of 4 general skill development areas for our fellows and interns. I would say technical first, right? If you have a background in machine learning, we'd like you to flex those skills and provide professional development stipends for you to learn more and get a little deeper, but really apply that skill to a problem in a business setting. That's make it overcomplicated, but necessarily build some more skill depth. The other is service skills, right? So how do you develop a strategic plan? How do you frame data analysis for a sponsor that's on 100 pages of graphs, as an example? General business characteristics. What is the financial return on investment for solutions? How might you frame what's in it for me, for a sponsor, in terms of business language that might be a little bit less coached to in a classical academic or technical setting. To the intangibles, we might call that general skills or leadership. I think that overall, from project management is a huge skill to learn. It is a bit of a science. What is a stakeholder? What are your core objectives? What's the timeline? What is your Gantt chart? Sequence and timing. What are the dependencies of tasks across a timeline? Change management. How do you build relationships? The art of interpersonal influence. Just because we want it to happen doesn't mean somebody wants it. And how do you frame that in terms of building your relationships? Lastly, leadership. What does it mean to be a leader in a community? Just because you have the best idea doesn't mean anything. How do you build your relationships? How do you exhibit interpersonal influence through your ideas to try and build agency and to build future leaders? So again, general business, service, and technical skills, hopefully to empower these individuals to be strong future leaders in the future.
Excellent, thank you. Okay, our next group of questions will be for Lisa and Izza regarding apprenticeships. So how can an employee prepare for apprenticeship? We'll begin with Izza.
Thank you, Bert. So how can an employee prepare for an apprenticeship? I think to really try to get good foundation of math and English. For example, if this is in the manufacturing sector, having strong shop math skills, even science skills. And also, I always bring in English too, because communication is just as important. That soft skill is just as important as technical skills in the field, and to try to work and hone a work ethic and problem solving abilities as well as critical thinking. So part of that is through having that English foundation and being able to ask a lot of questions, give feedback, and trying to understand the details of their job role and daily responsibilities. And as I've said before, the really big thing, which seems simple enough, is to show up on time and willing is half the battle.
Definitely. And from the employer's point of view, Dr. Greco.
Hey, Izza, I'm going to add one to yours that kind of spins off something you said. All the apprentices I've worked with too, I think how you have to understand that this is going to be a lifestyle kind of change. When you're an apprentice, your focus is much more laser driven than a typical employee, because you do have a very defined set of skills that you have to learn. So you have to really know that you're putting more effort into this than you probably would if you were a regular employee, not an apprentice. So everything is spot on perfect. And how that matches up then with an employer who's ready, I think they need to understand that this is going to be an organizational change. It's going to shift the paradigm of the organization in order to do this. And for that to happen, we look for 3 key individuals, or in today's terms, influencers, within the organization that will help drive that. And the first one is somebody from a C-suite kind of setting who will make this part of the mission of the organization going forward. We are now a company that is engaged and involved in this particular apprenticeship, or more than one. We are going to do this mission driven. And that is a person who also clears all paths that need to be done for this apprenticeship to work. The second person would be somebody who, to borrow a term from the building trades, in Izza's world, an apprenticeship coordinator. This doesn't mean you have to hire somebody. This is typically someone, maybe an HR or a plant supervisor, somebody who has access to that employee's records, because we're going to be monitoring their attendance, their performance, and those kinds of things. And this is also the person who makes sure that the apprentices, as I said, showing up on time, doing everything they're supposed to be doing, gently reminding them, you've got a class coming up, how are things going? And then the third person will be one or more, depending on what the apprenticeship is, kind of a mentor / journey worker / master person in that field, who will be the guide to that apprentice, making sure that they are actually learning everything that they need to learn to the standard of mastery. So that is what we look for in a company. First of all, knowing that they understand this commitment that it's going to get through the long haul. There's nothing worse, and I have seen it happen. I've seen it happen right here in Elkhart County, where an apprenticeship program was launched with great fanfare, media press, all kinds of things. And then within the company, there were changes at certain levels, and the program just kind of disappeared, but nobody told the apprentices. And when it came time for them to have sign-offs and things like that, nobody was around and nobody understood what was going on. We had 42 very angry employees, about half of them left the company. So it's very important that the company understands, and that's what we're there for. WorkOne is there to help you make sure that sustainability goes the long haul. Because we understand staff changes and rolls over. We understand that. We want to help through that process so that you don't have angry employees.
Nobody likes an angry employee.
Especially when they have a right to.
Exactly. So with apprenticeships, will there be a classroom or a theory portion of it in addition to the work environment of learning, which is the practice? So we'll again start with Izza.
To question 2, thank you, Lisa, for I'm sure what was a brilliant answer that I wish I could hear. Absolutely. Most of our programs, especially in the apprenticeship model, have that on-the-job learning component where they are going to be going through a series of different work processes that are involved with their job role that will be guided by a assigned mentor or field manufacturing oftentimes at a joint person. And students at the same time will also get an opportunity to learn more about the field that they're in by attending courses at IB Tech. Many of our courses are structured to, depending on what field, to have both the classroom lecture portion that we can dig into foundational parts of the field that we're in. And there's oftentimes a lab component associated as well, where we get some hands-on activity, depending on what field it is.
As if you could hear me, I gave you serious props. Yes, as she said, of course there is the theoretical. You have to have the theoretical. You have to know how to navigate within that field of that theory on the job, because that's where your problem-solving skills come in. So especially if you're a company that has lean practices, things like that, you know what cause analysis is. Well, if you understand the theory, then you can work your way through a problem using root cause analysis. you don't understand theory, then you're in trouble. You have to understand Ohm's law to work in, you know, the electrical field. There's many different things that are out there. I know people shy away from, especially adults, to go back to school. It's not, you know, you have to tell them it's not, you know, what you remember from high school. It's not that traumatic experience. These are things you're all going to know. It's just going to open your world up. And I kind of do it this way. If you look at the world this way, and I'm looking through like a periscope in my eye, and this is all you see. When you really know, you haven't learned the theoretical. When you've learned the theoretical, the whole world opens up and you see more. And that's why it's important to have that.
That's all. Thank you. Moving on to internships. Dr. Schroyer, is there a central location online or elsewhere to learn about internship opportunities for both high school and college level? What is the best way to connect with that opportunity?
The best way to connect about the opportunity is through their school, right? It's the first step for the student. There's one video out that was made with the students, probably going on 2 years because the program's been on hold for a year because of COVID-19. But that's at beacon.health/internship. It's a short video, like I said, that outlines the program and its opportunities for the students. You can always contact me. We have a brochure. I did bring a couple copies of that with me. And then I think that's it. School counselor and myself are the two main contacts.
So then as a follow-up, are students paid and or are they earning credits while participating in the program?
I believe that there's credits for it. They can earn credits towards college, I believe, and it is unpaid. They get paid in like experience and building that rapport with the hospital and things like that.
So what are some of the challenges of internships?
The challenges for me is scheduling. There are so many students that would like this opportunity. Having enough opportunities for the students who want to come in and scheduling them accordingly. I have found them all to be very bright and very easy to work with their schedules.
Thank you so much. Moving on to fellowships. How long do fellowships last?
I would say we have moved from a 1 year to a 2 year fellowship. There still is an option for a fellowship to apply for 1 year, but we see a ton of development happening in the first 0 to 6 months. What is all going on? From 6 to 12 months, you see some agency, project management, leadership. The whole second year then becomes a little bit more where you'd like to go, what projects you'd like to work on. Do you have ideas for things for creative entrepreneurial innovations? And so 2 year fellowship, with key, what we see as really key development and professional development, kind of over that.
Excellent, thank you. And how do internships play a role in focus?
Great, yeah, I covered that briefly. I'm going to speak on behalf of enFocus, but also ask for forgiveness to talk on behalf of 2 other internship programs that I think are very important for everybody in this group to be aware of. So as I mentioned, the internships at enFocus are to support fall, spring, and summer projects. The summer is a full-time 8 to 12-week immersive experience. We expect folks to move to the area. We provide a housing stipend, and they're encouraged to participate in social and professional development programming that is currently hosted through the Chambers of Commerce throughout St. Joseph, Elkhart, and Marshall County. So what's really important to understand about the summer and the whole notion of getting people to stay here is that they meet people that they like and they have a social experience, that they hear from leaders and say, hey, I'd like to do that, as well as, and speaking to the challenges of internships, a meaningful professional experience. And so what's important for us in the project-based model is to have a discrete deliverable that they can present back either internally or to the sponsor or client in this case, be able to own that work and say, I contributed meaningfully on this for that problem and that. Really beneficial to them.
Excellent. Thank you so much. Before we move on to opening up the floor to questions, I'd like to give each one of our panelists an opportunity to make closing comments if they would like. And we'll start with Izza. Just a second.
Thank you, Mark. So, just wanted to connect really quick on a couple of opportunities. We will be having a code week session for high schoolers happening this June through our IT sector partnership. And there will also be, through that event, a selection of high school students that are near graduating to participate in a tech juncture event, where they will get a chance to work on a project that comes from industry and showcase their skills in that project to industry reps for a chance to intern for them through a state earn and learn model. To find out more information about that, if you were to just do a quick Google search, IT sector partnership, all the details are listed in that site. And there is an application form, I believe, for both students to fill and for employers to fill if they're interested in participating. Other partnership that we have is with Horizon Education Alliance. If students are interested in work and learns through that group as well. We are connected with them through our School of Business Administration, and IT Computer Science. And lastly, I just wanted to point out, I believe my colleague Joseph Wheatley is in the room. If you want to wave to everyone, if anyone is interested in connecting more with ID Tech on the opportunities discussed during this session or on any other areas, please feel free to get a card from him and start that conversation. He's our employer consultant for our career coaching and employer connection department, and we'll be happy to sit down and meet with you. And again, I want to thank the organizers for this event and for all of you for attending today's session. Have a good rest of your day.
Thank you. We hope you feel better.
I just am excited because after a year being on hold, the program is starting back up for the fall semester. I think I have sent emails to everybody who was involved in that. We're really excited about it and looking forward to working with our students again. And for having me.
Yes, I'd also like to thank Bart and his team and everybody who came out so early this morning. I would just like to say, if you are interested in talking with me about an apprenticeship or possible apprenticeship with your organization, I left my business card with you there. If you would like to, maybe you don't want to talk to me, but you might like to talk to Leighton Johnson. His information is in the back lower left corner of this flyer on the second page. Either one of us would be happy to talk to you. Just to give you an example, I'm not going to come in there and strong. I was talking with the business yesterday about a possible apprenticeship, and it turned out that that wasn't what they needed. That wasn't the best fit for them. I'll be the first one to tell you. The other thing is that we've got money. We're in a hole in our pocket, and you know the federal government's like use it or lose it stuff. So we hate sending money back. So please, reach out and talk to us.
Like everyone said, thanks so much for kind of running comments. So if you're the employer side, raise your hand and be interested in working on projects with our fellowships or internships, please contact me. Our website is en-focus.org. www.en-focus.org. Also on that website, for those educators in the room, is you can refer encourage students to look at the application process for our fellowships. I mentioned I was going to kind of sell things on behalf of a couple organizations, but didn't actually do so. For the South Bend-Elkhart Regional Partnership, in addition to the apprenticeship program, there is an employer-focused internship program that provides a subsidy for up to half of an internship cost for summer internships. So if you're going to go to the site, look for apprenticeships, also look for internships. And why do I like that? Because if we have as many students in West End, the region, it makes everybody happy. The second program, I think, for those who are representing high school in the room, if you're not aware, the Center for Civic Innovation at the University of Notre Dame has a unique participatory and multidisciplinary internship, a lot of facilities there, where essentially high school students get to work in parallel with college students on applied research projects. And so that's kind of an interesting model. You can look at Center for Civic Innovation as well. I think as a parting comment here, the glue that holds talent attraction together is purpose. People want to have purpose. Millennials, Gen Z, whatever we call it. A little different, right? They want to know why we're doing what we're doing. Well, why are we doing this for the region? Because economic prosperity for all is going to rise, rising tides and lift all boats. And if we can inspire with, okay, you got to get your work done, but you can meaningfully be a big fish in a smaller pond, and you can lead through this work. That's the mission, to get people excited to stay here. And we have a variety of pathways that wish to do so. So thanks.
Okay, thank you so much, panelists. I'd like to open it up to the floor for any questions.
All right, I got one. I have some. So for Dr. Schroyer, I don't know if you're open to providing some sort of remuneration to the students who come to do the apprenticeship at your facility. I hear that Dr. Lisa's got some money, so I think it'll go a long way. They're high schoolers, but if you incentivize them too, that'll help. I think you should think about that. And I know she'll be generous enough to support your program. For Izza, I think my question already reached her. I sent her an email, but I wanted to know more, where we can find more information about the IT sector. Oh, this one? No, the apprenticeship. This is the partnership. This is the education side of it. The apprenticeship and the supply chain one. And you were talking about robotics too. Where can we find more? No, doctor was talking about where can we get more information? Can you tell us more about what it's like and where we can find more information about it?
Okay, on the robotics program, just go to the Lift Network site. You know one of these, right?
Yes, yes.
Okay, the information is there. The robotics one was just approved by the DOL. We had one company already signed up in Marshall County. We have a wheel for that. And so we are looking for other employers that want to sign up for that. Now, if you have, are you talking about having students who might be interested in that program?
Yeah.
I think once, so you know, Indiana Wheel, so if they're around that area, they can apply directly to Indiana Wheel. It has to be an employee of the company.
Oh, okay.
And as others, and we're just getting ready to announce, you know, Indiana Wheel and all of that. As other companies come on board, then they should watch, keep their eye on this website. And if the company's more, you know, maybe we'll have some in Elkhart County that are going to sign up. We're hoping so. We hope that St. Joe County has them. So as we build them, then they can think about going there for their apprenticeships.
Another question is, for those who don't have their like GED or high school education, are there opportunities for them to gain employable skills from any of these programs?
Well, WorkOne has, you know, programs available, and you can check with WorkOne on those programs. I know Darcy and Elkhart has programs. AGA has programs. So they do need that. I mean, seriously, encourage them to get it wherever they can. But the usual places that you would go, I think, ID Tech might have some free programs. Is that right? Yeah. So they really do need to have that, because in an apprenticeship, especially if you're talking, you know, I would say most of them, but especially like robotics or these high-tech ones, you're going to need at least that. Yes, and then they are working towards an associate sometimes higher once they're in the apprenticeship program. And that's the beauty of that too. Yes, yeah, so they do need to get that, but they can be doing it with an eye towards that.
Definitely.
So-
Darcy, did you want to make a comment about that?
Oh, geez, that's fine.
She's paid me.
Yes, we have the ability to provide high school equivalent. We also have a variety of training programs that are funded through WorkOne or other buckets of money throughout the state.
And this is on Horizon Alliance?
This is a part community school.
Oh, okay.
Community education, I'll read my third.
All right.
Just recently, like Lisa was saying, we have employers who come to us who are wanting to develop apprenticeship programs. And through that, we can bring students, employees into our programs, we can offset. The industrial sewing is going to be a tiered kind of thing. There's all kinds. Let's face it, folks, all of us collectively, we have great resources between all of us, and collectively we can do anything. So it's just a matter of knowing that we need it. So start asking those questions, we can connect parts and pieces together. I work with Lisa and Bart. So when Lisa says she has money, I pay attention.
One last question is, you guys are doing an amazing job. Is there a place where you guys collaborate that we can find all these information in one place? I mean, can we make that happen? Can we make a website happen where we can find, so that we're not going to different places? Uh-huh.
And I know WorkOne is now going to have an enrollment and it's like a community-wide regional resource of all kinds of stuff. So there's plenty in there right now, just that WorkOne is getting, we're loading other things in there. I would look that up. That's a pretty highly used. If any of you have been here, been around a while, if you don't remember the old community resource guides that used to come out, this is the digital version. Who's chuckling? That thing was huge. That was like you need a forklift to lift it. And we were so excited every year when that came out. But now we have a digital version and it's called Unbirth.
It has been built to be user-friendly, search catalog based, so put a keyword, it'll bring up catalog programs, entrepreneurship, business services, educational programs, largely what we talked about, to catalog all the programs and community stuff, but we'll get more.
Digital innovation, asset.
So these programs, and I believe it's tied to something partnership website. The organization is not directly, but they do play a really good and sufficient role in the board out here.
I think I can speak for everybody here. If you have a question, 3 weeks down the road, you've got our contact information. Shoot us the question, and if we can't answer it for you, we'll point you in the right direction. It's a collaboration.
Thank you very much.
Great. Thank you for all the time sharing what we this past year, obviously, we've all been challenged with something that's controlled us, that's impacted each of us in one way, shape, or form. Now that we appear to be at a juncture where certain things can get reestablished, I just welcome just your own individual input on your organizations, where you are today, how you factor that in, and where you see that going. Because a lot of this is re-engagement, right? We've had to re-engage by other ways, by electronic virtual meetings, and that's good to a point, but it's only to a point. So I'm just kind of curious what your thought processes are now as you're here and coming out of this, what your organizations are looking at to try to re-engage.
I know we're going full steam ahead. Of course, masks probably still have to be worn in the fall. But we are re-engaging with our students. We are re-engaging with the program and other programs that have been on hold because of visitor restrictions in the hospital. Age restrictions as well played a part. So those will be lifted, and we will go full throttle come fall.
That's your target, really, come fall, you think?
Well, fall, because we're so far into the spring semester, it would be really difficult to come up with students that would be able to participate. So fall would be the next time at the schools could get students in and interviewed and going through the things that they need to do, get all the paperwork on the Elkhart side, and be able to come into the hospital.
I know for WorkOne, we've spent this last year, and I'm sure Bart will feel free to jump in here. We haven't just been sitting around in our home offices doing Zoom meetings for nothing. We've actually spent this time getting ready for today. We have been working very hard, writing and developing apprenticeships, working with the LIFT network. I've had the pleasure of working with several of the enFocus fellows who have been a tremendous support to us in getting that to happen. We have been working, and we are now like the butterfly coming out of the chrysalis. We've got money now. We've been getting that all lined up. Everything is ready because we knew this day would come when the doors would open again and the sun would shine. We all knew this day was coming, and we've been preparing for it. Under the Biden administration, now we have even more funding being pumped into apprenticeships. I mean, this is going to be the golden age. Let me just, put my viewpoint on this, on what's happening. I'm even delaying retirement for a couple of years to see this happen because I'm so excited about it. I mean, I can't believe, I know I just have a vision for the future for this area. And it's going to involve the collaboration that we have learned about taking care of each other through this pandemic. Let's take care of each other in the community, and let's build this community up to what it could be.
Technically, summer internship during the summer hybrid remote. In terms of policy determination and data to use for employee practices, we watch case counts, hospitalizations, death rates, county by county, and watching the trends up and down. So as we peaked, turn things off. As we've seen things come down, we move back to a hybrid environment. Particularly in our case, if I have fellows in an office, interacting, and then go to healthcare, senior care, nonprofit industry, I spread it all across the community. So we're very sensitive, but have pivoted to remote service to Zoom things with digital skills of some of our fellows. What I will tell you though is organizational culture for young people is so important. So while the world may move remote, or there might be more certain types of jobs that can be remote, the connection to the community, the interpersonal dynamics, the hey, you got a minute, that needs to be scheduled. And so I think organizational culture suffers in a remote work environment, but you need to be safe. So I would say summer hybrid, fall, let's get back to business. We'll see how the winter goes, and we'll listen to this.
Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. To be respectful of time, we're running a little over. I want to thank everybody for their questions. I want to thank our panelists for taking time out of their busy days to present to us. Thank you. I'd also like to thank Kathy Cardwell, who just walked out of the room. There she is. She's worked tireless. She's worked hard. She was up all night. But she has done a great job, and I really appreciate it. So, yeah, let's move on. Some of the other things happening, we'll have another Education Career Development Council panelist presentation on June 10th. Same time, and this one will be entrepreneurship, business, and trade training. So mark that date on your calendar, and then we're looking at September 9th for organizations and or businesses serving youth with innovative programs. So please mark your calendar for that also. I think that's it. Ron, do you have anything? All right. Well, thank you all for coming. Be safe and have an excellent day.
Yes, yes. Have you been there? Good, good. Well, the question that was raised by all time determine when we reopen, get back to some of this that shift. So I know that engagement, the ability to get back to some simple formal life, never get back to what we always had. And we kind of responded to that. Really, I'm sorry, who are you with? Okay. Well, you asked some great questions and making internships such that there's an inducement. But we all struggle, obviously, you are in different having the resources and funding to do that. If there are funding sources out there, let's well, this is obviously hitting both employers and students who have an understanding of what pathway they may want to take. But there are many more students out there that don't have a clue, right? They're not underserved. And we got to reach them and give them opportunity because they may not even know about some of these career paths because they're just worried about getting food to the table. Right. Right. We want to work with our organization. We have a space to perhaps identify those niche areas that maybe the students just do not have a path because their environment is such they don't have, that's not, again, something that they can even think about. So let's give them an opportunity to get exposed to certain, it's like the body, we have the first language. So that's been run out. Gets kids exposed to engineering. Right. Yeah. Yeah. So there's things like that we need to give. Haven't had yet. Right. I'm sorry, I didn't hear you. Yeah. What we're doing really now is our focus has been on teaching teachers. So we provide the best to schools that we have relationships with, that we're helping teach, not just science or math, touching all aspects of education, teaching them inquiry-based problem solving, teaching techniques, and that's to touch all kids in different ways. And then the other aspect of that, we repurpose science kids, so we're teaching them teaching the teachers how to teach the science kids all disciplines. So we've had to do that in some respects. It's always been part of our menu services, because we've not been able to have a museum, not been able to have engage with our parties coming in. Yeah. So. Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. Pleasure meeting you. Appreciate it. All right. Yeah, please do. Because they're physically. We do have podcasts and videos on our website. So I would encourage like us on Facebook, check out our website, because we push a lot of things out from a social media standpoint, just in terms of programming. Okay. Pleasure.
All right. Yeah, we're already pretty far down the road on that. I was talking to Darcy. She was sitting back there. Okay. That was her. She was trying to drive me. We've already got six up, right?